It's the ultimate simulator nightmare. You're just flown a perfect 2-hour route, you're seconds from touchdown, and suddenly another aircraft pulls right out onto the runway ahead of you. It breaks your immersion, ruins your flight, and leaves you frustrated. But what if there was a simple real-world radio habit that could completely prevent this, even when there's no air traffic controller around? Welcome back to the Microsoft Flight Simulator A to Z series. Today we're hitting the letter U and we are mastering the ultimate habit that separates casual simmers from respected virtual pilots, Unicom. Think of Unicom like using your turn signals in a car but for the sky. In the real world it's a universal radio frequency used at airports where there is no controller tower. Instead of a controller telling everyone what to do, pilots broadcast directions so they don't hit each other. In Microsoft Flight Simulator, learning how this works completely changes how you perceive a busy airspace. Whether you're completely solo from AI traffic, mess around in standard Microsoft Flight Simulator multiplayer, or fly on massive enthusiast run-work networks like VetSim, EVAO, Unicom is a fundamental concept you need to know. When you tune your radio to the global standard frequency of 122.800, you are stepping into a shared workspace. You aren't asking a computer for permission to land, instead you are proactively announcing your intentions to the world so that the pilots around you can coordinate seamlessly. To sound like a seasoned pro on the radio, you just need to follow 3 simple golden rules. Rule number 1. Keep it brief. Space out your transmissions, the frequency is a tool for safety, not a chat room to talk about your favorite flight simulator add-ons, for example. Rule number 2. Master the message format. Depending on how you fly, you might type this out in a chat box or say it over a microphone. The delivery doesn't matter, the format is always the same. Your message must answer who you are, where you are, and what you are doing. And rule number 3. Book at your location. Always start and end your transmission with the name of the airport you are at. This ensures a pilot flying 20 miles away knows instantly if your message matters to them. Now we know what Unicom is, let's put it into practice in Flight Simulator 2024. It also works in Flight Simulator 2020, of course. So let's jump inside the Cessna. As you can see, the radio frequency has already tuned into that Unicom frequency 122.800. If you don't know how to do it, you can use these knobs on the PFD to change the frequency, and you can see that this one is now changing. And once you're tuned into the right frequency, don't forget to hit this button because this will change it to the active communication channel. In this case 122.800 is the active one. Now if you want to interact with it, you simply hit the kind of, let's say, walking cloud. And there you see that it's tuned into 122.800 and it gives me multiple options. It gives me the option to tune into the automated weather, to check the weather, but it also gives me the option to announce my taxi, announce the taxi to parking, or announce the clear of runway. In this case, I of course want to, say, announce the taxi because I want to start taking off. So I'm pressing this one.
Kilo Alpha Foxtrot November traffic. Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra is taxiing to runway 34. Kilo Alpha Foxtrot November.
So here you see it keeps those 3 rules. It keeps it short, it gives you the master message, it says okay, I want to taxi to the runway, and also it takes into that 3rd rule, which is okay, hey, I stated my location at the start of the conversation and at the end of the conversation, which makes everybody aware, hey, I'm located at this airport and I'm simply gonna taxi. So let's do that. So I'm gonna increase the throttle and turn the aircraft a bit. So we're pretty close to the runway, as you can see, so that makes it easier. And now we're on a taxiway, we can simply, say, move it into the correct direction. And for those who paid attention, you can already see some changes into the ATC window, right? So let me put on the parking brakes again. Here we go. So you can already see it has now changed to announce takeoff remain in pattern. That's what we want to do. So we're gonna select that option.
Kilo Alpha Foxtrot November traffic. Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra. Taking off runway tree 4. Right closed traffic. Kilo Alpha Foxtrot November.
And you can see it was again very short. It gave the intention what we're gonna do. So let's take off. So we've taken off, and as you can see there were already also multiple other options. For example, there was also some other option to take off, and now we're airborne. The options have changed again, right? Announce the position, announce on final, announce upwing lag, base lag, go around, and also the taxi to parking. So you can see that for this part you likely want to use them during your approach when, say, close to the airport and you want to simply land on the airport. Let's skip to the next demo where we're gonna look at the en route coordination. So we're at our en route part. So we're cruising roughly at 4,500 feet over a scenic, I would say, New England landscape. If we're looking at the surroundings, it simply looks beautiful. But how can we now use that Unicom? Normally, when you're flying in real life, you can use the Unicom frequency when you're flying towards a destination. Even though we are away from the airport, we keep our radio tuned to 122.800. But why? Because if we need to change our altitude or cruise path near other traffic, a quick broadcast ensures everybody stays safely separated. In Flight Simulator 2020 and 2024, it's not really possible to do that, because you can see that you can only announce your position, you can announce the taxi, and then the, I would say, kind of arrival part, right? I can show you the announced position.
Kilo Alpha Foxtrot November traffic. Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra. Tree 1 miles east. 4,500. Inbound touch and go. Left traffic. Runway tree 4. Kilo Alpha Foxtrot November.
So you can see that although I'd say there are a lot of options, it doesn't really give you the option to descend. What you would normally say is traffic en route, Cessna ASXGS, climbing from 4,500 to 6,500 feet, heading north over the reservoir. Any traffic in the vicinity, please advise. That's what you would normally say. But in Flight Simulator 2020 and 2024 you can't really do that. You can only use it, unfortunately, while taking off, taxiing, but also of course for the approach and landing part. So let's jump to that next demo. So let's select the destination. I know normally you would do this prior to your flight, but let me show you how you can do it also within Flight Simulator 2020 and 2024 using the G1000. Because here you can press the nearest option, and this has a nice advantage because you can see which airports do have a tower with a frequency. But if we scroll down, you will also see that there are some airports such as Cape Verde, which has a Unicom frequency. So if this is the airport I want to fly to, simply press the direct option and then say, okay, I'm gonna go to Fitchburg municipality. Rest is fine, right? I simply would say activate it for now, and you will see that the information is already put into the system. So the only thing I need to do is turn around. But since I'm flying on the autopilot, I can use the nav option, which allows me to turn around the traffic, which allows me to turn around the aircraft. Since the airport is a little bit far away, right, 26.8 nautical miles away, I'm of course not gonna show you the entire part. I'm only gonna zoom into that last part. So we're over the airport already, and I want to show you one thing, because I think we didn't cover this well enough. And that's how you can change the airport destination. Of course, you can set up your flight plan, but in most cases, the radio will simply try to ignore that. As you can also see, it has now switched to ATC, which I really don't want, because I simply want to use that Unicom. So I'm going to change it back to Unicom and then say nearest airport list. And then you can see that I can select the airport, I can select the runway, and I can say define also likely what my position is. On the other thing, you could also see that I could say, hey, I'm flying over the airport. Also is an option, right? So if I scroll down and go back, I would say, hey, I can fly over the airport, just to announce that. That's also where you can use it for. So in this case, I can say, hey, I'm gonna announce the position, which I already did.
Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra, 3 miles west, 4,500, inbound touch and go, left traffic, runway 2, Kilo Foxtrot India Tango.
So in this case, I'm gonna do the left traffic, right? So I'm gonna say, okay, hey, I can do announce a final, announce upwind lag, crosswind lag. Those are all the options, including, of course, that go around. So let me switch off the autopilot for now. You can hear the beep, and then I'm gonna decrease the engine power, of course, because I need to lose altitude. While losing altitude, it's always a good idea to keep track of everything which is around you, right? So use the navigation system options which are there for you. For example, to use the traffic avoidance collision system, right? The TCAS, if your aircraft has one. If it doesn't have it, well, you can't use it, of course. So I'm gonna drop the altitude, and I'm gonna make sure that we're going closer to the airport, because we're now moving away from the airport. So I can still turn, and you can see that these options are kind of stable. So you can of course decide to say, hey, I'm announcing the upwind lag, the crosswind lag. Those are the options which you could use. So I would definitely recommend you to use those options where applicable. But you can also use the option, okay, hey, I'm on the final, right? That's a little bit late call out, I must say. Likely you will use one of the other options first and then announce your, I would say, final. But technically in Flight Simulator, well, everything is possible, right? Or at least almost everything is possible. So let me zoom out a bit, because here the airport is, right? So I need to make a turn, or losing altitude. And in the meantime, simply can use that number 1 option, right? I can simply announce my options.
Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra, 7 miles west, 3,400, inbound touch and go, left traffic, runway 2, Kilo Foxtrot India Tango.
So as you can see, it now has inbound touch and go, but of course you can also change that, right? You can simply say, hey, select a runway or landing. In this case, I can select runway 2. And then I'm gonna say, okay, hey, I want to kind of change my landing intentions. At least that's normally should be visible. Let me try to see. Announce touch and go, announce full stop. Those are the things which you can also select. And that's something which you need to kind of work around yourself, also figure out yourself in some cases, because you sometimes need to make some changes. You need to use the back option to come back to that navigation structure. I will likely post a table close to the video, or at least with a link in the video description, where you can find those options. So if you are in one of the menus, how can you come up back to one of the previous menus? Let me do that as a promise. I will create an overview for you which ones are there, and I will likely include it in the end of this video. So keep your eyes on the end of the video. If you are not interested in this part, you can also of course skip to the end of the video and have a look at the table. So I'm turning. Let me also keep an eye on my altitude.
X-Ray Golf Sierra, 8 miles west, 2,400.
You can now see it says inbound.
Kilo Foxtrot India Tango.
Inbound to land, right? It has now changed the message. Instead of saying, hey, I'm gonna do a touch and go, no, we're now gonna land on the airport, which is also a good idea. So let me change the range. Here we go. And here you can already see my, let's say, route which I should fly, right? So also this nice option within the I would say G1000 allows me to figure out, hey, where do I need to fly to? So I need to make a large correction. That has to do because it's pointing directly to the runway, of course. So don't follow it 100% completely, because then you will, I would say, follow the wrong path. It's always better to use this nice map functionality, which you can see over here. So we're now over here, like I would say above almost base Z and G font. And then we've got this traffic pattern, as you can see. Traffic pattern 1, then 4, and then 4, and then 1, and then final. I still need to learn a lot about this. Maybe I should have used that one instead of the T, right, to learn more about this, because I also learn a lot when creating these videos. So I'm gonna turn the direction a bit, because I want to hit that TRP number 1, and you can see there are some, let's say, large things which I likely don't want to hit. So let me also increase the throttle a bit. Gonna change the direction a bit. And of course you can use this nice VFR map, which is included in Flight Simulator 2024 by default, to figure out, hey, where am I and should I make any changes. You can also hide it if you don't want to see it, but I think it's very useful. Sometimes you need to zoom out a bit. Because I don't think there's a way to hide this upper part. Well, there is. You can, but you need to select or deselect all these options, as you can see. And then you can't change that part to be bigger. Maybe there's a new feature coming somewhere in the future which allows you to do that.
500.
That would be cool, right? So we're coming closer and closer to the airport. Actually, you likely already see the airport. It's over there, as it looks like. But we want to follow that traffic pattern. Here you can see that there are multiple parts of the traffic pattern, but for some reason the flight plan has decided, okay, hey, you need to, because initially we're coming from TRP 1, TRP 4, and then making a turn back. But yeah, in this case we're gonna do it a little bit different. And keep in mind that you still can use the radio. But I also want to leave this one open. And the easy way to open and close this one is by hitting the tab key. So I can say, announce the position.
Kilo Foxtrot India Tango traffic. Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra. 2 miles northwest, 1100, inbound to land. Runway 2, Kilo Foxtrot India Tango.
And then I can use one of the other parts, right? For example, I can say, hey, I want to announce the base lag. That's what you would normally do if you're on base, but I'm not on the base. So I really can't use that one. But I'm almost on final, so I'm simply call it out. Once we're hitting on final, we're gonna call it out. If you're having a higher resolution screen, or maybe you're lucky you've got multiple screens, then you can of course move these things around. If you're not, like I am, and also recording in a lower resolution, then it sometimes can be challenging to put all the windows on one of these things. For those who would love to see another option, then have a look at Navigraph, because Navigraph also has the option to track your flight, and then you can put it, for example, on an iPad or other tablet device, and then you can simply use that one, which is, I would say, I do think it's easier. So I'm gonna change the position. We're hitting final almost, so I'm gonna say, hey.
Kilo Foxtrot India Tango.
And we're a little bit high, I know.
Kilo Foxtrot India Tango traffic. Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra. 2 miles south, 1200, inbound to land. Runway 2, Kilo Foxtrot India Tango.
500.
So here we go for the second try. Yes, and I know we're not perfectly aligned to the runway. I know it. It's also, by the way, a challenging one, right? You can see all the trees over there. And it's also a very short runway. And we're not perfectly aligned, I know. Oh, it was a little bit hard landing. So sorry for that. So now we're on the runway. Then of course comes that last part where I can simply announce it to the taxiing to the parking.
Kilo Foxtrot India Tango traffic. Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra is taxiing to parking. Kilo Foxtrot India Tango.
Because I'm still on the runway, I'm not gonna call it out, I would say number 3 yet. But that's something which you could do, of course. But for now we're gonna move out to the parking. And once we're off the runway, we can simply announce it. But since we're hitting also runway 32 and number 14, you need to watch out that you're not gonna announce it too early. So here we go. So.
Kilo Foxtrot India Tango traffic. Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra is clear of the runway. Kilo Foxtrot India Tango.
So you can see that the co-pilot was so friendly enough to take that one over for us. So as soon as you left the runway, simply announce it so people know, hey, the runway is clear and I can simply reuse it again. Or use it again. And this is everything which you can cover with Unicom, right? So a lot of interesting things. Before you practice this on your next flight, make sure you avoid these 3 common mistakes. First, don't ask any traffic in the area, please advise every few minutes. If other pilots are nearby, they will tell you their position when they hear your broadcast. You don't need to hunt for them. Second, don't narrate your entire flight. We don't need to know you are turning on your seatbelt sign or adjusting your autopilot heading window. Only broadcast major structural changes, taxiing, takeoff, entering a runway and landing. And finally, keep the frequency professional. Save the casual talk for your Discord channels. Mastering Unicom takes you from just playing a flight game to truly understanding how real aerospace functions. It builds great habits that make every flight safe and much more immersive. If this video helped clear up the radio static for you, smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the rest of the Microsoft Flight Simulator A to Z journey. Let me know in the comments, do you usually fly GA aircraft solo or do you brave the multiplayer airliners? Thanks for watching and until next time.